It is true. I like to read books that my children have been assigned. It's sort of my way of getting a return on the investment and the tuition that I pay. Thank you, Nick, very much for that generous introduction. And most importantly, I want to extend my own sincere thanks on top of all the thanks you've already received to everyone here for helping to celebrate and support the vitally important work that the Vera Institute of Justice does. Before I go on, I want to congratulate my fellow honoree, Loretta Lynch. Your lifetime of extraordinary public service and your relentless dedication to the pursuit of justice is an inspiration for us all. I have to say, I'm truly humbled and honored to be sharing this stage with you this evening. It takes no great wisdom and certainly no great insight to recognize that we are living through a moment in our country's history in which the values that have long animated our nation and that have earned our nation respect around the world are in grave peril. The current administration loudly proclaims, quote, "Our country is full," and that accordingly, our country's borders should be closed to those hoping for a better life and those hoping to escape oppression. This crabbed vision of our country's possibilities is not limited to closing our borders, however. It also seems that our minds should be closed to new ideas and to simple, venerable truths. That our hearts should likewise be closed to those who are living on the margins of society, who are in need, who are without a home, or who may be in prison. And these loud proclamations demonize the weakest among us, and they sow disrespect for the rule of law, for an independent judiciary, and sadly, for a free and independent press. The Vera Institute of Justice, I am very, very proud to say, points in a different direction. Not loudly, but still forcefully and with enormous conviction. Our innovations are grounded in pressure-tested evidence, not in rhetoric, not in bombast, not in ideology. We are profoundly and proudly nonpartisan. We don't litigate and we don't yell. Instead, the Institute does careful, deeply thoughtful research, and then we seek to lead with the quality and the rigor and the depth of our ideas. Relying on that heritage of research and innovation, Vera has in recent years, under Nick's leadership, sharpened its strategic focus. And I'll just very quickly mention three key initiatives of which I am enormously proud and which I think illustrate our core principles. First, as you've heard, Vera is dedicated to ending the scourge of mass incarceration by promoting innovative approaches to reduce the overuse of pretrial detention and the over-reliance on antiquated money bail regimes. We also partner with local governments in cities across the country in our SAFE program to build a network of legal service providers to represent people facing deportation, including unaccompanied children. The kind of phenomenal thought that our country thinks it's fine for a 10-year-old to face deportation alone and without counsel. It boggles the mind. Third, as you've heard tonight, we are working to restore promise to incarcerated young adults, working in states like Connecticut, Massachusetts, South Carolina, and with several more states lined up to be added in 2020. We've developed intensive coaching programs and radically altered conditions of confinement that are modeled on the true unit that you saw the video about this evening and that you've heard from that extraordinary young man, Shaquin Dix. Through this work, Vera aims to enable young people to re-enter civil society with hope, with dignity, and with the realistic promise of living a better life. Each of these initiatives, along with all the other important work that Vera does, advances our broader ambition to combat our country's tragic history of racism and division, and to make government systems more humane and more fair. Now, as Nick mentioned, I have served on Vera's board for 25 years, which is nearly half of the organization's entire existence. And I've had the great privilege to serve as its chair for the past decade. Now you might ask, what does that signify? The answer is not a whole lot other than that I'm really old, but you all knew that already. All kidding aside, my long service on Vera's board does enable some perspective on the many ways in which the Institute has changed over time. And I have to say, I am enormously proud of those changes and of my own small role in bringing them about. For example, as Nick mentioned, Vera is financially stronger than ever before. Our endowment is now multiples of what it was when I took over as chair 10 years ago. Last year, we successfully completed what we thought was an enormously ambitious capital campaign, what we call the Campaign for Justice Reform. We aimed to raise $50 million over a 5-year period, and that seemed daunting. But we wound up raising $75 million in just 2 years. And so my board, with my encouragement, took on the even more audacious goal of raising $125 million, and we are well on our way. And tonight, I am very happy to say, we have raised more money to support Vera's work than we ever have in any prior fundraising gala. I am clearly picking a brilliant time to retire. Now, this new financial strength has allowed us to significantly expand and diversify our staff and our reach. We now have become a truly national organization with growing offices in New York, in Washington, in New Orleans, and in Los Angeles. And we have projects ongoing in nearly every state. We've also used these new financial resources to become a more muscular and vocal contributor to public thinking, something which I have long urged the staff to pursue. And so Vera now projects a much higher profile across a wide array of critical issues. We use social media, conventional press outlets, academic publications, and public convenings and conferences that we regularly organize to ensure that we can effectively communicate our ideas and our innovations. But despite all of those changes, I'm also proud of the fact that Vera has remained faithful to its founding precepts, to be scrupulously honest about the results of our research, to test our ideas in the crucible of real-world conditions, to ensure that they actually work before we advertise them, and to work closely and cooperatively with many government partners. And we do that in both blue states and red states, and have always done that. We work to make systems more effective and more just. And I have to say, those are pretty wonderful precepts to have been associated with for the past 25 years. And my life has been enormously enriched by that association. So in closing, I would like to add a few other very, very important thank yous. My first thank you is to Vera's extraordinary director, Nick Turner, and to the entire absolutely off-the-charts amazing Vera staff. You are the ones who do all of this important, hard work, day in and day out. And you are the ones who manage to keep your spirits strong and upbeat, even in moments when you'd have every right to feel disheartened by some of what comes out of Washington these days. Second, I must thank my firm, Wachtell Lipton, Rosen and Katz, and in particular, Marty Lipton, for their absolutely unstinting and always generous support over the past 25 years for my work with Vera. I've said this before in other settings, but I want to repeat here that Marty truly is the example par excellence of the lawyer who gives back to his community and who believes that our profession owes a duty to contribute to strengthening public institutions and to protecting the rule of law. I have sought in my own small and not even remotely close way to model myself after Marty's remarkable example. And I want to thank him and my partners and my firm for that inspiration and for their support. And finally, please allow me a moment to thank my family, who are out in force tonight at many tables around here. I have cousins and my mildly ancient father and sister and many other beloved family members here. But most importantly, I want to especially thank my amazing, wonderful wife, Lynn. Her own commitment Her own commitment to human rights and social justice reform is a source of continuing inspiration to me. And she has always supported not only my professional career, but also, and she would say, the very, very long list of extracurricular commitments and pro bono activities I have taken on over the years, chief among them my service on the Vera board. And that gratitude extends as well to our three relentlessly extraordinary children, Catherine, Laura, and Michael, who have taken time from their busy lives to be here. I know an awful lot of you in this room, so I know all of you can attest that I shamelessly brag about my three children pretty much any chance you give me. And I just can't help it. You're all wonderful, and I have to say it just means the world to me that you're here, along with so many dear friends and family. So I assure you that this long-winded valedictory is coming to an end, as is my time on the Vera board. And my closing hope is that Vera will remain a strong and stable haven for the incubation and testing of new ideas, and that it will continue to speak out strongly, bravely, and wisely for the cause of justice. Now, fulfillment of that hope of mine depends, of course, in very large part on all of you here tonight. So I urge you to continue supporting Vera and to continue supporting organizations like it so they can keep doing the critical work that they do. So on behalf of all of my fellow trustees, I want to thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for being here tonight, for supporting our work, and for helping us to reimagine the aims and ambitions of justice in America. Thank you.